Welcome to Entrepreneur Conundrum with Virginia Purnell, where growing entrepreneurs share how they get visible online.
Hey everyone! Today I am joined by Lori Atwood, the founder and CEO of Fearless Finance, who helps people access expert fiduciary financial planning without sales pressure, minimums, or judgment. Lori is a CFP professional with over 25 years in finance, including investment banking, asset management, and private equity. And she's founded Fearless Finance in 2016 to change how financial advice is delivered. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being with us. How did you get to where you are today?
That is a long story. So, I was in private equity, as you just mentioned, right at the 2008 market mess. And my husband and I were talking, and he said, You've always wanted, I just had my daughter. You always wanted to stay home with her. You know, you're not going to get much of a bonus. So, if do it, we'll tighten our belts, just do it. So after I got my last bonus that year, I resigned and I stayed home with my daughter until she got into kindergarten. And during that time, I knew I wanted to work for myself, and I was kind of like, okay, what do I want to do next? And so I started making these small videos about parenting, like how to comb out tangles, how to deal with a bully, that kind of thing. And this is Reels and Instagram and all was very, very early at that point. And I interviewed experts and I got great information, and I had these little vignettes and these little reels. And I was watching them, I'm like, the information's really good, but the format is dry and boring. So I thought, okay, I've got to make videos of myself so I can mess around with what format makes sense. So I called everyone I knew and I said, can I come and give a personal finance seminar for free and videotape myself? And people said yes, and people came, and I gave these seminars, and they were basically what I thought was the right thing in personal finance because I'd been in finance for so long. And people would come up to me and say, do you take clients? And so I started to say yes. And I got myself regulated appropriately, and I incorporated in 2016. And that's been Fearless Finance since then. So that's how I got where I am.
That's so cool. And it's fun how you made the transition over.
I took an opportunity that presented itself, and that's kind of the entrepreneurial way in a lot of ways, because sometimes people are like, I really want the world to have this widget, and I'm going to make sure the world wants this widget. And then other times it's, hey, if we had a widget for that, that would solve that problem. And you go that way. And so it really was taking advantage of an opportunity that presented itself.
Well, good job for listening.
Yeah.
What do you like most about the work that you do?
So I love running my company. Now there are 10 of us, 6 planners nationwide, some back office kind of marketing people also. And we're regulated by the SEC. We're one of the very, very rare firms that does not manage assets under management and is regulated nationwide by the SEC. So that to me is a triumph. And we offer hourly financial planning advice. And what I like best about what I do is that it really changes people's lives. We're not selling things for commissions. We're not doing investing and managing assets. We give investment advice, but really we give full A to Z or soup to nuts or whatever you want to call it, financial planning advice. And so when you're in the asset accumulation stage of life, like 28 to 55, you're getting married, having a baby, trying to buy a house, maybe changing careers, maybe going to grad school, and the basement floods, and the contractor comes in and says it's going to cost you $20,000 for a French drain, and you don't know what to do. We're where you come, and we will help you work that out. And that's super gratifying. Every day we make positive change in people's lives. If you can reduce the stress, financial stress in people's lives, They're better parents, better spouses, better sisters, better children, better community members.
I need the money for my basement now. Is it okay to come to you now, or should I have, ideally, I guess I should have came to you before, but is it okay to still come to you now in the moment of need?
Early is always better, but you have no idea how many emails I get that say it's twins.
Oh.
So yeah, it's all over the map. People come when they've lost their job. People come when they've gotten a new job and they want to really talk about how to plan for the future. It's always best to start early, but it's not necessary.
So this might be the answer to my question. What's some of the most common mistakes or things that people do when they come to see you? So is there something other than not early enough?
Not early enough. Mistake might be too harsh for this, but
Yeah.
one of the things that makes it more complex is when people come with a bunch of preconceived notions about what they want it meaning the plan, to be like at the end. And so if you come with an open mind and a clean slate, then we're going to get a lot farther than if you come with, well, that's not optional, and that's not optional, and that's not optional, and I'm not changing any of my habits, so can you make this all work out?
I have $10 extra.
Yeah, that's pretty much right. Yeah.
Gotcha. What techniques do you use that you wish that your clients knew more about?
Well, we have a process that we do with everybody that's doing a full plan. People who are going into retirement, that's a different process. But for people who are in that asset accumulation stage of life, we have a process that we go through. And one of the things that's really freeing and empowering for people is that when we do their cash flow, we create a pool of full discretionary money. And so budgets are not necessary, because if you track that one pool and you stay within it, then I know that you have enough to save, or whatever the savings plan is at the bottom. You don't have to sit there and go, oh, well, I bought these shoes, so I'm not going to go out to eat, so I'm going to move the money from that line item to this. I wouldn't do that, and I do this for a living. Like, that's hard and frustrating and not fun and all those things. So we eliminate all of that by having a pool of full discretionary funds, where if you're a single adult household, you decide what you're going to do with those funds on that month. If there are two adults in the household, then you need to communicate. But you're not communicating like this, because you're like, hey, our daughter needs a new pair of boots. I'm going to do it this month. Do you have anything big coming up? And that's very empowering, to know that you can spend and know that you're still within plan. Because most people, when they spend, how many people can walk into their closet and see something with tags still hanging on it that they feel too guilty to wear? And that doesn't serve anybody, honestly. And the guilt and the shame that comes with personal finance, it doesn't serve us, any of us. So what we want to do is eliminate that kind of stuff.
So you work with just the personal aspect of things, not with businesses or the corporate aspect of things?
We work with small businesses. My practice, I work a lot with solopreneurs, small businesses being anything up to about 200 people. And I do business planning. And so I'll sit and go through margins and profitability and product market fit and your expenses and your account structure and all that. Retirement plan.
Okay. How do you get in front of all your ideal clients?
We do it the old-fashioned way, which is we get referred by current clients. Certainly, I do as much as I can to shout from the mountaintop that hourly financial planning exists. And this kind of thing is one way to do that. We sponsor podcasts, we do some conferences, that kind of thing. But what we found is that when people know there's somebody out there they can pay by the hour and get the advice that they need, they come. Because most people need or want that kind of advice. They just didn't like the way it was sold before. They didn't want to be sold products they didn't need. They're wise and savvy enough to know that they don't need 17 different insurance products. And they feel like they're too small of a fish, if you will, for a big, oh, we have $1 million minimum investable assets. Okay, that's not that many people, right? So where you go again when you're in the asset accumulation stage of life and you're trying to buy your first house, maybe you've had your first or second child, you're wondering how you're going to get that kid through college, or you want to make a career change, you want to start your own business and you're not sure how to do that vis-a-vis the family finances. These are tough questions and it's good to get help.
So what are some of your big goals that you're hoping to achieve in the next year or two?
We're always looking to grow the business, and we're trying to grow our business. We're writing our own software platform, so I'm hoping that we get on that in 2026. Right now we're using somebody else's software to do our work. So those are my big goals.
What do you feel is the number one roadblock from helping you reach those goals?
The number one roadblock, I think, well, the software is just a matter of time and effort. That's not really anything. It's just not that interesting. It's just one of those things that has to be done. But growing the business is interesting, really interesting. And what I found is that there's no way to buy revenue. You have to get in there and dig with your spoon. It's like digging a tunnel with a tablespoon. It's every day you got to be in there making little digs away at it until you're known, until people refer to you, until your name is known, until you've got your business model right such that your profitability is right, until there's enough cash flow to spend on additional marketing. And it is in every way sweat equity. Yeah.
When will I know that I can quit my day job and work full time on your concept?
On whatever you want, right? So what I do when somebody comes to me and says, oh, I want to start my own business, when do I know? So the first thing we need to do is figure out what that person is contributing to the household. If that person is single, it's everything. It's 100%. If not, how much of what the household needs on a monthly basis is being contributed by that person? Then we have a number. Then depending on what the new business is that the person wants to start, we want to figure out how long it will take them to generate enough in salary or draws or salary to cover that amount. And if that's 6 months, if that's 12 months, if that's 2 years, then we need to have that much cash saved somewhere. And that's always the hardest thing, because a lot of times by the time an entrepreneur or a future entrepreneur comes to me, they are really, really into their concept and their idea. And I'll say a lot of times, well, we need 6 more months of you working so that you can save X dollars and have enough runway to get underway. And that's going to certainly reduce the tension in the household. And if things don't go exactly as you plan, meaning it takes 3 or 4 more months or whatever it is, we're not freaking out. But you need to know that you have the right runway in place. You need to know how much money you need to replace in the household. And you have to make sure that we would go and model the business and see how long it takes for you to generate that and get to that salary. How many widgets do you have to sell to make sure that you're going to take that salary? People don't always like to do that.
Right? That's the boring stuff.
I love it, but yeah. That's right.
Do you help with retirement numbers as well?
Yeah. Yeah, we do full retirement preparation for clients in small business. We help them set up their retirement, if it's a 401k or it's a solo 401k, whatever it is, get them to a place where they know how much they, at each phase, right? There's start day, there's medium term, and then there's as a going concern at each stage, how much they can put into their retirement plan. And then for people who are on the verge, the precipice of retirement, we do a full retirement analysis so that they know what retirement would look like if they retire at X date in X years.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How do I find the balance with growth versus taking more salary?
Yeah, that is a super tricky question. And it depends, right? Every business is different. So some businesses, say you're a therapist and you've opened up a therapy practice, right? Everyone knows what therapy is. There's no discovery problem. You do a little SEO marketing so that you go to the top of Google, but there's not a ton of marketing. It's mostly word of mouth. And that means that you can take more in salary. But what we would figure out together is what is the cost of customer acquisition? How much needs to be poured back into marketing to grow the business or sales, depending what you're doing? And then how much needs to be poured back in for expenses if you need more people to do the thing, to expand the way you want to, which probably wouldn't be the case with a therapist, could be. But if you were making cupcakes, for example, at what point do you need to bring on a second oven? And all of that needs to be modeled so that you can know how much cash you need to have set aside, how much pent-up demand you need to be able to see, to take the leap and buy the second oven, or whatever that metaphor is. The second oven, yeah.
So is all of this supposed to be hard?
Supposed to be, or is it? Yeah. So lots of people come to me and they're just not numbers people. They just don't like the data and the numbers. I love it personally, but not everyone's cut out like that. Like me, I have utter paralysis when I have to pick paint colors for something in the house. Like that to me is like, I can't imagine a worse thing to have to do. It just doesn't suit my personality. This kind of thing is easy for me, but not everyone's like that. And I think it's harder for people who don't want to look at the numbers and really don't want to think about that. And they need more hand holding, and that's okay, because that's what people like me are here to do. I think the hardest part is getting the business right, getting the product market fit right, getting the pricing right, getting the salary versus how much you're leaving in the company right, figuring out when to expand or maybe not expand. Those are the crucial business decisions. And if you're somebody who likes to do what the business does more than those kinds of decisions, it can be a struggle.
What's the best advice that you have ever received?
Wow. Yeah, I do love that. The best advice I've ever received is probably Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. That was his partner. He's now deceased. If you listen to some of the things that they talk about in interviews or podcasts or whatever, they kind of get it right. Even with entrepreneurship, obviously they're a huge company. It's hardly a startup. And they talk a lot about the fact that it is really just hard work and building and making the right decisions at the right time. And it's not so much advice as much as it was like, wow, this feels really hard. And am I making the right decisions? And then hearing somebody like that, who's had that level of success, be like, yes, it's hard. And these are the decisions that you have to make. That's helpful to hear.
What's the best advice you've ever given?
Oh, okay. It could be business oriented, but it's certainly the case for personal finance, which is the best thing for your personal finances. The best thing, bar none, is your happiness, period. So when you are not happy with your job, your house, your body, your relationship, whatever, it will come out in your finances. I mean, there are obvious ways where you're spending more and you're self-medicating or whatever ends up happening, but it also comes out in a lack of organization, a lack of being able to plan for the future, all of those things. It's bad. And so I tell people a lot of the time, I'm not a therapist, but I tell people a lot of the time, let's get some happy. If you're miserable and you want to do a different job, let's get to a place where you can do that job, even if it pays less. And we'll tell you what you need to do to adjust, but let's get some happy. It's critical.
Yeah.
There's a lot less FOMO when you're happy. There's a lot less comparison to other people. There's a lot less competitiveness. All of that stuff is hideous for your finances. Clients that have the highest net worth are people who are super contented. They don't spend that much. I mean, they go on trips. They have a few sweaters and a few pairs of earrings and whatever, but it's not like a real need like that. And you can see it across the thousands of clients we have at the firm. It really comes into bright relief.
It's fun, the perspective that you get.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Is there something that we haven't talked about yet that you would like to share with us?
I like to talk about the happiness piece, and you just allowed me to do that. I appreciate that. And I think the other thing is that people should get help with their finances, help in a way that's accessible to them, and fiduciary, where you know that your interests are being put first. And that's the reason I started the firm, right? Because I could have started an assets under management firm, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted people who typically would not get the advice they need to come and get the advice they need. So it's not too late. It's not over your head. It's not any of those things. You can do it. And 9 times out of 10, it's fixable, whatever it is. There are certain situations that are way too complex, but for the most part, for most people, it is fixable.
Do you work under a certain geographical location, or can your concepts go everywhere?
Any of the 50 states, any Americans abroad, many overseas citizens too. I have to look at it on a case-by-case basis, depends on the country. And we're regulated by the SEC, so we're nationally regulated, not state regulated. And that's what makes us different in a lot of ways too. And everything is virtual, so it's like the bar to entry is very low.
Gotcha. Where can we learn more about you and what you do?
Yeah. So go to fearlessfinance.com. You can see a lot of information on our site, including our pricing. It's all out there. There's nothing to guess about. There's also a contact form there. And if you're listening and you put Virginia's name in the promo code, I'll give you $50 off the first meeting. And you can also find us on the usual socials. Just type in Fearless Finance and you will get to us.
Thank you for that discount, by the way.
Oh, my pleasure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you again for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Be sure to subscribe and leave some love through a review. And I'll catch you on the next episode.